Keyshawn's performance was absolutely crazy.
For moments, goes downstairs with a vicious right hook, and that left hook puts him on snaky legs and face first on the mat.
You gotta give it to that young man. Again, it was Keyshawn versus Lemos, and Lemos has a pretty good record. I already see some people trying to make some bullshit about it. Lemos has a good record. Let's look up this record real quick. Let's take a look at this record. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Hey, that's pretty good.
All right. So, like I was saying, Keyshawn Davis went against Lemos. And for anybody who's about to try to shit talk Keyshawn or, not give him the credit for the win that he obviously deserved, Lemos was a solid opponent. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't top of the crop, but he was a solid opponent. The only guy that he lost to, which was his last fight before Keyshawn, was Richard Hitcherson. And if you are familiar with that, you know that he is not a power puncher at all. He's not a power puncher. He is a boxer. He is a pure boxer. No disrespect to Hitcherson. It's just, he's a guy who boxes. He doesn't have power like that. And of course, that's what he did the entire fight. He outboxed Lemos. So that was his only loss. Lemos is a pretty good puncher. He had 29 fights with 19 knockouts. So he definitely was a solid opponent. And not for nothing, Keyshawn made him look like easy work.
Playing with the money, gotta go collect. Better double count it, better be correct. No bench, but somebody getting pressed.
It was a second round knockout. And, if we was to rate or judge Keyshawn's performance, you have to give him an A+. You got to give him an A+, maybe even an A++. He went in there with a guy who was a power puncher who had, he was at least in the top 10 in a couple of the sanctioning bodies. I'm not sure which ones, but he's at least top 10. And he went in there and he destroyed him. So you got to give him all the credit in the world. Keyshawn is a young fighter. He was only 11 fights going into that fight. Only had 11 professional fights going into that fight. So all the credit for him. Now, let's talk about before the fight. Why was this fight so, big? And honestly, it's because the guy came in 6 pounds heavy.
On the scale, Gustavo El Eléctrico Lemos. 141.4. 141.4 for Gustavo El Eléctrico Lemos.
Now, they talked about it all night. He came in to the weigh-in 6 pounds overweight, and he weighed about 155 fight night. I don't know what Keyshawn Davis' weight was, but he went in with a guy who outweighed him, and he destroyed him. And it doesn't even seem like he even tried to make the weight. It didn't even seem like he made no attempt at all. He didn't look shameful that he came in overweight. It just seemed like that was his plan. I'm gonna come in overweight. I took a loss in my last fight, not taking a loss now. I'm gonna come in overweight. I'm gonna get the job done. I'll take the fine. Didn't work out like that. He got his ass beat bad. Like it was bad. It was an absolute destruction. And shout out to Keyshawn, like I said.
You stole the show. I know it's you're the main event. You're supposed to, but you delivered.
Right.
And you after it said knock Tank.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on the door. You came over here, said light skin. A lot of fight fans like when people call out and do things like that.
But only person that don't like it is him. He's kind of weird. But now he got no choice but to fight me. The fans want him to fight me. After what I just did tonight against a guy that's bigger than him. Come on now, if I touch him, what's gonna happen? Talk about that. Everybody wanna talk about, oh, Keyshawn, what if he touch you? What if I touch him? Yeah, okay. Come on.
He's ready for that fight. If you ask me, he's not ready. If I was Keyshawn, I would take maybe 1 or 2 more fights before trying to get a Tank fight. That's just me. Maybe just one more. Maybe just one more. There's a lot of people in the 135 division. And not for nothing, Tank shouldn't be at 135 no more, but whatever. Let's focus on Davis. he shouldn't fight Tank right now, in my opinion. He should probably fight people like Williams Zepeda, maybe the grudge match with him against Andy Cruz, maybe even Isaac Cruz. Frank Martin would be a nice name. I'm not sure if Frank Martin wants to take that risk, you know what I'm saying? Because he just took a loss to Tank. Frank Martin would be a good match, but I don't think Davis is ready for Tank right now. I think he needs 1 or 2 more fights underneath his belt, but all the credit to him, you know. If he can't get none of those names, try for Loma. That's another champion in the division. Loma is a champion in the 135 division. So maybe try your hand at Loma. He might feel like, hey, this guy is, he's strong, but he's underexperienced. Maybe Loma might try his hand more with him versus Shakur. That'd be a fight to look out for, possibly in the future. But again, shout out to Davis. He went in there, he did his thing. Got to give him all the credit in the world. So we'll see what he go with next. Also, on that card, I don't want to be too mean. I don't want to be too mean because it was a good, exciting fight. And as a boxing fan, that's what you want to see, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see Abdullah Mason, young guy, going in there, old school style, getting dropped, getting back up, dropping an opponent, got dropped again. Second round, got in there, finish him off. You want to see that. But if I gotta, criticize him, and I gotta criticize his performance a little bit. If I gotta be fair, he reminds me of a stubborn fighter.
That's what, I don't know if that was supposed to scare me or what, but y'all know what I do. So every time I step up a fight against a fighter that got power, they get their ass beat back.
He needs some milk.
He reminds me of a stubborn fighter. And for me, personally, that's a little dangerous. He definitely showed grit, but he did show somewhat of a lack of chin. Somewhat. He got caught with a shot because he threw the same punch and he got caught. He threw an uppercut from a distance that wasn't good. And he got caught with the left hook. Now, he did get the job done. If you look at the last knockdown, he threw the uppercut again, but it was at a closer distance. And that, was the right distance to actually throw that punch. I'm really not trying to be too hard on the young man because he's still green. He's still got a couple of ways to go. But I will say that he needs to work on not being stubborn. And what I mean by that is, think about Chris Colbert. You heard me say it here before. Stubborn fighter. He didn't need to bang. Pause. He didn't need to throw with Ryo. He could have just outboxed him. You can see that he is the more flashier fighter, maybe a little quicker on his feet, possibly has quicker hands than Ryo, and he chose to throw with him, and that was just, to me, stubborn and stupid, and it cost him the fight, especially obviously the second one. The first one I actually thought he lost too, but it definitely cost him the fight in the second one, as we all seen. And I get it. As a man, you want to show that you got that strength, showing there that you got that dog. But I think you need to show that in the right moment. Use what you got to your advantage, which is outbox. If you got the footwork, use that. If you got the speed, use that. So I say that to say, I really do like Abdullah Mason, but he definitely needs to not get into, these battles unless he knows that he's going to have the upper hand. And seeing how he went down twice in the first round, it shows me that he does have grit. But also, he might be lacking a chin. And he can't just rely on having the youth and the youthful strength to get him out of these, type of moments. You have to have technical skill. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but he has to mature a little more in the ring. I'm glad he got the victory. Hopefully he learned from this mistake. Hopefully.